we are hearing Bhagavad Gita. We heard that there are ignorant and wise. So those who are wise, they should not disturb the fate of those who are ignorant. The wise should also do work, but without attachment. So to be as an example for those who are ignorant, that they should do their duties by which they can purify their heart. Because for Jnana Marg, purification of heart is necessary qualification. One cannot jump, first has to purify by that process. But here we also heard that for bhakti, there is no necessity, means the purification of heart is not qualification for bhakti. When one awakens faith in Supreme Lord, he can do bhakti, and by that bhakti he will also get purification of heart. No need to separately go that process. Or if one goes that process, then he has to go karma, jnana, and then bhakti. And we also heard that this nishkama karma has three features. One is indifference to fruitive actions, to want to desire fruit, giving up all sense of egoism, I am the only doer and I am the enjoyer. That is not there, and dedication of all actions with the fruits thereof to me, the Supreme Lord. These three features are there in Nishkama Karma, which Krishna is explaining here. Then 31st, oh, 1 second. Ye me matamidam nityam anutishtanti manavaha shraddhavanto nu na suyanto muchante tepi karma bhi. Those who, without being malicious, have faith in me and always abide by this desire of mine, are likewise liberated from bondage of action. Explanation. The result of Nishkama Karma Yoga. Those who always perform this Nishkama Karma Yoga by offering all the fruits of their actions to the Supreme Lord, and who have constant faith and confidence in me, but at the same time cherish no malicious disposition against me, are freed from the bondage of this world. In Shastra, faith in Shastra, that they will do this and without wanting to enjoy the results. Such persons are freed from the bondage of this world. Ye tvetat abhyasuyanto nanutishtanti me matam sarvagyana vimudham stan vidinashtam achetasaha. Consider them to be ignorant of all true knowledge, thoughtless and ruined, who do not, out of malice, follow this doctrine of mine. Explanation. Know you this for certain, that those who do not follow the principle of Nishkama Karma Yoga as chalked out by me, out of malice against me and my principle, are deprived of all true knowledge regarding me and their own real self. Deceived by my deluding potency Maya, they are doomed to destruction. These foolish persons are known as men of crippled intellect. It is clear. If you have envy or malice to Supreme Lord, then you will not want to follow. But if you have faith, then you will follow. Then you will be liberated and can get all knowledge. But those who will not submit to Shastra, they will do wrong activities and they will be doomed to destruction. They will roam in this material world all the time. Sadrisham cheshtate svasyah prakriter gyanavan api prakritim yanti bhutani nigraha kim karishyati. Even a learned man acts according to the predispositions of his own nature. Living beings follow their natural inclinations. What will restraining of the senses do? Explanation. In case a wise person has recourse to asceticism by suddenly giving up all mundane qualities and actions, after discriminating between self and non-self, there is no certainty that he is liberated from the bondage of this world. He who is a slave of his passions, even though he be intelligent and wise from worldly standpoint, is nevertheless a fallen soul, and will therefore have to follow the natural bent of his age-long desires and habits. To accept karma sannyas means renunciation of action, does not necessarily imply deliverance from the bondage of Maya. To get rid of those long accustomed habits and inclinations, one should perform nishkama karma or socio-religious duty without seeking its fruits. A man of giant intellect is bound to be enthralled by the three qualities of Maya if he be ignorant of his real self and of Godhead. Due to stoic abnegation, a Maya-ridden soul may renounce the world and accept sannyas, but that is no reason why he should be freed from the clutches of the octopus Maya. To get rid of the deluding influence of Maya, nishkama karma with fruits thereof dedicated to me is the only beneficial path, until one is imbued with devotional aptitude characterized by jukta vairagya, genuine asceticism. So, if someone has knowledge, but his heart is not pure, and suddenly he wants to renounce all actions, like he will become ascetic, he will do karma sannyas, then he will not be delivered from Maya for two reasons. Because still those natural inclination will be there and he will be forced to act according to that. And another thing is, if he does not submit to Krishna from his real self, he has no knowledge of his relation with Krishna, and does not submit to Krishna, then also he will go down, because only intellectual knowledge and that impersonal knowledge, that will not be that will not give you permanent liberation. That is stoic abnegation. That is why in Shastra, it is in Kali Yuga, it is actually forbidden to take karma sannyas. No one is allowed to take karma sannyas in Kali Yuga, to give up all actions. So here Krishna wants to say that if someone wants to become ascetic, and he has knowledge about what is self, self is spirit, and non-self, that is matter. So only up to this point. And even though he be intelligent and wise from worldly standpoint, he is nevertheless a fallen soul. He did not yet purify, and he will fall down due to these two reasons. One, natural inclination will pull him, and he is not taking shelter of Supreme Lord. So to get rid of the deluding influence of Maya, Nishkama karma with fruits thereof dedicated to me is the only beneficial path. This one has to do until one is imbued with devotional aptitude characterized by Jukta Vairagya, genuine asceticism. So here also it is still explanation from gradual that procedure. One can immediately go to devotion by the grace of bona fide sadhu, and he will immediately practice Jukta Vairagya. He will offer all articles to Krishna and take his prasad, and he will not renounce those things which are favorable for Krishna. Only those things which are unfavorable to Krishna he will renounce. Not like renounce everything material and everything which has a form like Gyanis they do. Not in that way, and all actions, no. So until one gets that kind of faith in Krishna, it is beneficial for him to do Nishkama Karma Yoga than to pretend that he is liberated. This is known as Swadharma or Varna Ashram Dharma as enjoined by the scriptures. This is Nishkama Karma. Simultaneous results in the shape of spiritual well-being of the individual soul and of the world at large accrue from the observance of this Swadharma. Non-performance of Swadharma results in moral turpitude. I don't know, turpitude, I can only guess. Turpitude. So maybe some degradation, moral turpitude or disturbance or something. I think this word will not be there. Oh, it is turpitude, sprianost, depravity, wickedness, like this.
Turpitude.
Turpitude, not turpitude, turpitude. This will happen if one does not follow his Swadharma according to his natural qualifications, nature, according to regulations of Shastra. Then that will be morally degrading and wickedness, depravity. But where Bhakti Yoga is awakened by my grace and by the grace of my devotees, there is no need of observance of this Nishkama Karma Yoga or Varna Ashram Dharma, socio-religious duties prescribed for a fallen soul. This already I explained many times. Devotee does not need to do Varna Ashram Dharma as those who are not devotees, they have to do. Still, he will do it for the sake of maintaining his life. But outwardly it will look same, but the internal will not be same. So we cannot actually say that he's doing like Varna Ashram Dharma, because he's doing it directly for the satisfaction of Krishna, for his service. So this is what will restraining of the senses do. Like Gurudev said many times, we are not eating on Ekadashi. But that does not mean that our desire to eat automatically goes away. No, they will restrain, but next day they will eat double. So that will not work. One has to engage his natural inclinations for the service of Krishna. That will be beneficial, not to just restrain, dryly restrain. This is all Maya, I am spirit, I have nothing to do, all this. They will try to give up, but it will not be possible. As long as impurity of heart is there, it will not be possible just by theoretical knowledge. And also not submitting to Krishna. But if one will do devotion, then he will automatically do Yukta Vairagya, and for him there is no need of Varna Ashram Dharma in that sense. Indriyasyendriyasyarthe ragadvesho vyavastito tayornavasham agachet tohyasya paripantino. Because here in this verse it is stated, previous one, this is very important. Long accustomed habits and inclinations are there, samskaras. He who is a slave of his passions, even though he be intelligent and wise, is nevertheless a fallen soul, because these samskaras are there. And for devotees also, it takes time to change all those inclinations to enjoy this world. Ambarish Maharaj, it is stated in Bhagavatam, by doing devotional practice, sadhana bhakti, he could gradually remove all other desires and bad habits and inclinations and all this. Gradually it happens. It is not so easy and not all of a sudden, immediately. It takes time. But if someone does devotion to Krishna, that will be most powerful and most quick to fully release oneself from all those things. If one will do Nishkama Karma and then Jnana and then Bhakti, it is also okay, but that will take more time. That is why Gurudev told, directly you go to Bhagavatam. Directly you go to Bhagavatam, because there is no time in Kali Yuga. Those who already awaken their faith in Krishna, they should hear that direct Harikatha and only engage in devotional service, not those other processes like here they are described. Although Krishna does not actually intend to engage Arjuna in this, but he nevertheless has to explain all these things gradually to come to his point. But Bhagavatam directly starts with devotion, pure devotion. In Raya Ramananda, that conversation also, Mahaprabhu said, Eho hoy, this is okay when Raya Ramananda said that verse from Bhagavatam, that one has to throw away all other processes and only hear Harikatha from pure realized soul, pure devotee, and regulate his life in accordance with that Harikatha, and Stanestitam, wherever he is situated, he should do this. This is one meaning. Another meaning is one has to remain at that place, Stanestitam, one has to remain at that place where Harikatha is going on. That should be one's place of stay. And in another senses, you may be Kshatriya, or that thing, or whatever, Brahmin, wherever you are situated, hear Harikatha. That is the point. And serve Krishna. But if one does not purify his heart, either through devotion or through this Nishkama Karma practice, like wanting to be renounced, he will fall down. Those samskaras will bring him down, surely. And also offense to Supreme Lord, because he is not taking his shelter. So Krishna does not recommend this. Attachment for or aversion to their objects is inevitable for the senses. One should not be a slave to it, for it is attachment and aversion that are one's enemies. Attachment and aversion means I like this, I don't like this. And this is individual. Someone likes sour taste, someone likes sweet taste and don't like bitter like this. So this liking and disliking, that is raga and dvesha, and one should not be a slave to it. All the time in this problem. I like this, I don't like this on material platform, this taste, all this. So he's fully engrossed there. But one has to overcome this. If it be explanation, if it be argued that association with the sense objects will make one all the more addicted to worldliness than liberation from the bondage of Maya, then listen to me. This is also a very important point. One will say, no, I don't want to have any contact with this world, I will renounce. So if you are telling me I should do these activities in the world, then I will be bound, but it is not so. The problem is raga and dvesha. Now it will be explained. Sense percepts are not by themselves detrimental to the realization of the self and of Godhead, but love and hatred for them are the greatest drawbacks towards that realization, because material desire is there. Love for seeing or touching the limbs of another's wife, which is tabooed by the scriptures, and reluctance on the part of a disciple for seeing, touching or serving the lotus feet of the guru or preceptor, which are enjoined by the scriptures, are regarded as great impediments towards the spiritual progress of a devotee. So in both cases there is sense action and sense touch and everything, but one will degrade one will elevate. So if I, like a Jnani, will reject Diti, will reject Guru, Vaishnava, and Tulsi and Prasad like this, because these are all material, I have nothing to do, then you will not be able to do devotion. So sense, Gurudev said, when senses are engaged for enjoying their material, when they are engaged for the service of Krishna, they become spiritual, they are spiritualized. So one should not give up senses and everything like this, all is Maya. No, one has to change the utilization of the senses and sense objects from enjoying to serving Krishna. So, love and hatred must be controlled in dealing with the sense percepts. So long as love and hatred are under control, there is no danger in contacts with the sense percepts. When enjoying spirit is there, like Gurudev explained that verse, Mahaprabhu said to see a woman is like poison. But Gurudev explained, if you see with enjoying spirit, that is, because he said it is you cannot avoid seeing a woman. It is impossible. But enjoying spirit should not be there. You should see as she's a servant of Krishna, not as object of enjoyment. So as long as one has love and hatred, material taste, material enjoyment, that is problematic. That will cause problem. Not the senses by itself and sense objects by themselves. No. The utilization is problematic and very helpful. Depends on how you use. So long as love and hatred are under control, there is no danger. So long as this physical body continues to exist, reaction to sense percepts is a matter of course. But love and hatred for sense objects due to perverted egoism must be controlled by all means by having recourse to Jukta Vairagya, which consists in the proper adjustment of all senses and sense percepts to the gratification of the spiritual senses of me, Krishna saying, the Supreme Lord, without any attachment for worldly enjoyments. So this control of both love and hatred for sense objects must not be applied with reference to devotional service to me, or to the objects that accelerate spiritual progress. As for example, love for those things and deeds which stimulate devotional aptitude and hatred for those things and deeds that impede spiritual progress in the loving service of the Supreme Lord must be cherished by all means. But love and hatred for the sense objects that engender a spirit of self-aggrandizement and promote anti-devotional temperament must be shunned by all means. So love for what is favorable for Krishna and hatred should renounce what is unfavorable for the service of Krishna. This is part of Sharanagati, to accept what is favorable, to reject what is unfavorable. And love and hatred for sense objects, which will, for self-aggrandizement or for enjoyment like this, that has to be given up by all means. They will impede, means block spiritual progress, put obstacle to it. Shreyan Swadharmo Viguna Paradharmat Swanushtitat Swadharmani Dhanam Shreya Paradharmo Bhava Bhayavaha. This is important. Duties of one's own, though imperfectly performed, are better than the well-performed duties of others. It is better to die for one's own duties, while the performance of duties ordained for others is dangerous. Explanation. Swadharma, though ill done, is better than paradharma, means to do another's duties, though well performed. It is better to die in performing swadharma than to live a life engaged in paradharma, another's duties, which is dangerous. We heard that time when Narad and Krishna were going, Krishna blessed that Vaishya because he was doing his own duties. But he cursed that Brahmin because that Brahmin should do Brahminical duties, but he was doing agriculture, that on the field, and that was wrong. Because then who will, if all will work in the garden, then who will study Shastra and who will teach Shastra and who will do that yagya and all these things, Shrad, all those things, who will do? Then if that is not done, then only we will eat and sleep. That is not point. All around has to be there. So everyone has to contribute to the society for what is his duty. If someone does not do his duty of teaching Vedas, then they will be deprived, and for yagya and all this. So that is not, you should do your own duty, not another's duty, and cooperate. Socio-religious duties of a fallen soul are divided into 4 sections according to the classification of Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra. If Kshatriya will not fight the disturbing elements, then whole society will be disturbed. So Kshatriya has to do the duty, not Brahmin will go and fight, or Shudra, or like that. And Shudra should not be in like nowadays. In Kali Yuga, Shudras, less intelligent, they are on top positions. Because it is Kali Yuga. That is why it is stated in Shastra about this. And we can directly observe. So, that is why in Kali Yuga, directly we have to do devotion by chanting Harinam and somehow maintain life in this world, somehow. All these practices in Kali Yuga will not work. The Swadharma of a Brahmana consists in the study of the Vedas, living on the charity of others, controlling his inner and outer senses, etc. That of a Kshatriya in fighting against his enemies, protecting his subjects, collecting the revenues, etc. Like Parikshit Maharaj, he was Kshatriya. So he fought that Kali Maharaj. That Kali Maharaj was beating cow and bull. That is wrong. So Kshatriya has to protect bull and cow, their dharma. So he rightfully fought with that person. If you will say no, non-violence, then that is wrong. And to permit that some demoniac like these personalities, they will disturb dharma, that is wrong. This should not be tolerated. Kshatriya should fight against this. That is his duty. Like devotional acharya, one who got this service, he has to fight all apasiddhanta and all these wrong activities, all this he has to tell what is right, what is wrong, has to refute. That is his duty. If he will not, then those things will be preached in the name of, like it happened after Mahaprabhu's disappearance. Then Bhaktivinoda Thakur came and he refuted. Prabhupada came and he refuted. Otherwise that will go on. In the name of like dharma. That of Vaishya in tilling the land, carrying on trade, agriculture, etc. And that of a Shudra in serving the other three castes. Paradharma means the duties ordained for other castes and not those for one's own caste. As for example, Swadharma, or the duty of a Brahmana, of a Vaishya, or of a Shudra is regarded as paradharma for a Kshatriya and vice versa. Both Swadharma and Paradharma are socio-religious duties with reference to the body and mind of a fallen soul. So also Deva Varnashram Dharma, which Bhaktivinoda Thakur told to Prabhupada that he should also engage his disciples and people, that will be working according to one's natural inclination. That will be helpful. But as much as that is practically possible, and also with this view, so that he can engage more easily in Shravan Kirtan with less disturbance, less obstacles, and like this. That is also necessary to practice in Kali Yuga, but there are so many individual cases how one has to do according to circumstance. So by the advice, by the help of bona fide guru, realized soul, one can get some guidance on how one should maintain his life so that it will be favorable for his practicing devotion. Because it depends on according to circumstances and also one's own nature. Guru will see this. But so this Swadharma, Varnashram, is related to body and mind. But Atma Dharma, or the eternal function of the unalloyed self, is quite different from either Swadharma or Paradharma, your own duties worldly, or to want to do some others worldly duties. Atma Dharma is separate, quite different. Hence, Nishkama Karma, the fruits of which have been dedicated to me, even though it is ill done, it is better than Paradharma or the duties of another, though well performed. It is better to die in the performance of one's own ordained duties, aiming at a higher level of service, than to live a life engaged in doing Paradharma, a conduct which is injurious and useless in the long run. For doing another's duty is unsafe and is never beneficial under any circumstance. But when Nirguna Bhakti, unadulterated devotion is awakened in the unalloyed self, there is no harm in setting aside the duties laid down as swadharma, because the eternal function of the unalloyed self is then manifest as swadharma. So one who is not devotee yet, for him it is very important to do that varna ashram according to his, that should not do another's. But if one becomes a devotee and is serving Krishna, then he can give up that swadharma, because this will become his swadharma, his own duty. Why? What will be his duty? I am eternal servant of Krishna. My only duty is to serve him. That is real Sanatan Dharma, Jaiva Dharma, Atma Dharma, Bhagavad Dharma. All this same means same thing with different names. So he can give up that, and there will be no problem, because already he is fulfilling all the purposes by his eternal dharma. That is why that faith in Shraddha, Bhakti Shraddha, is defined as Shraddha Bishwash Kohe Sudrida Nishchaye, Krishna Bhakti Koile Sarva Karma Krita Hoye. By serving Krishna, all karma is done. All duty is done automatically. If one does not have such faith, then he is not entitled for Bhakti Sadhana, for Harinam and this. Not entitled. That is faith. Like watering at the root of tree, you nourish whole tree. Like that, by serving Krishna, you serve all properly. So this becomes his swadharma, and doing something else will be paradharma. If one awakened faith in Krishna, not serving Krishna, he will do some other dharma that will be paradharma, duties for another. For one who has no faith, he has to do that Nishkama Karma Yoga, according to scripture, everything. But one who awakened devotion, if he will try to do that, that will be his paradharma, another's duty. That is why in Rupa Goswami's Upadeshamrita you will find Niyamakshama. No, Niyamagraha. Niyamagraha. One should follow for one's stage rules and regulations. If I became a devotee, then I should follow devotional rules, not rules of karma and jnana and those atonements and all these things. That will be detrimental for my devotion. Although that may be beneficial for someone who did not yet awaken faith in Krishna, it is beneficial for him, but not for me. And if that person will try to do like Shravan Kirtan, but he has no faith and giving up all those things, that will be wrong for him. So that function of the unalloyed self will then manifest as swadharma, which means the duty of sva, own, my own duty, or the real self. While consecrated socio-religious duties that were known previously as swadharma of a fallen soul with reference to his body and mind in the particular station of life and society now become paradharma, or duties of non-self, body and mind, to the awakened soul. I did not know that Bhaktivinoda Thakur will already say this point, so I told in advance, of course by his grace, what I know, everything I learned from Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Prabhupada, Gurudev. So if I read it before, that is why I know, not that I know independently. What I learned, it is all from them. So for awakened soul devotion, devotion to Krishna will be swadharma, and following that varna ashram dharma will be paradharma. He should not do. But one who did not awaken devotion, that will be his swadharma, and he should not do this. That is why for Purushottam month we are hearing, some have karma adhikar, some have bhakti adhikar. Some have faith in those smarta shastra, some have natural inclination for paramartha shastra, and everyone has to do according to his own eligibility and for gradual procedure. That is why smartas, they will not do any pious work during Purushottam month. It is impure. They will not do. But devotees should not follow that. Devotees are engaged in the service of Krishna in Purushottam month also, more than in other. So according to eligibility, it is there. And that is based on natural inclination. So one should not forcefully convert or disturb someone if he's not qualified. Then that will be detrimental, only disturbance for you and for him. Arjuna Uvach Athakeno prajuktoyam papam charati purushaha anichan api varshneya balat iva niyojitaha. Arjuna said, well, Krishna, prompted by whom does the jiva, though unwilling, commit sin, as if impelled by force? This is famous verse. Explanation. Arjuna inquired, O Varshneya means sign of the family of Vrishni, Krishna. Prompted by what does the jiva commit sinful acts, though not so inclined, and oftentimes quite against his own will? Du has told me that the jiva is an unadulterated eternal entity, quite independent of the mundane qualities and relativities, and that it is not in the nature of the jiva to commit sin, and yet it is always sin that the jivas of this world are ever wallowing in the mud of sin. Therefore, pray tell me, O Lord, what incites the jiva to commit sin? If jiva is pure, then why doing sin? And as by force. Bhagavan Uvach Kama esha krodha esha rajoguna samadbhuvaha no samadbhava mahashano mahapapma vidyenam iha vairinam. The Supreme Lord said, it is this all-consuming and formidable lust and anger born of the quality of rajas, which is the cause. In the pursuit of the highest good, know this lust to be the enemy. Explanation. The Supreme Lord replied, know you that the all-consuming and the most formidable lust and anger, born of the quality of rajas, propel a fallen soul to commit sin and are therefore the most harmful enemies of mankind in this world. Kama, or lust, is the enjoying mood, born out of the desires of this birth and of those that remained unsatisfied in the previous births. There in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu it is explained this, be the seed and like that. So as I gave that example of Padmana Maharaj, later on in your life something may come. Now I'm feeling okay, but at the appropriate time when that seed will fructify, at that time I will suddenly get that desire and I will not be able to control. So certain are desires of this birth, and some are there unsatisfied. They remain unsatisfied in the previous births. It is there. Immediately when opportunity will come, or at appropriate time, that will come. That is why Gurudev said there are waves in sadhaka. Sometimes good thoughts, sometimes bad thoughts. So we have to practice. When bad thoughts will come, then we have to practice like we heard yesterday. That will have hold on us. It will be like owner of us. We cannot do anything, like husband. But we have to, by our own free will, we have to escape that stealthily, secretly, to Krishna. He is our beloved. And Krishna is very fond of stealing the property of others because he's a thief, the greatest thief. So I'm owned by my karma. That is my husband, owned, rightful owner. And if I go to Krishna, he will very gladly, he will steal me from that owner. But we have to submit to him, and he will steal. That we have to practice. It is kama that takes the form of anger when the former is obstructed or withheld. Rajas begets kama, which, when it receives a setback in its fulfillment, gets transformed into the principle of tamas, which begets anger. Kama is the most subtle, sordid, and powerful agent of Maya, the deluding potency of the Supreme Lord, and is therefore fierce, formidable, and insatiable. It is an all-devouring demon because all the produce, animals, wealth, women, etc. of the whole world cannot satisfy an iota of its ravenous hunger. Hence, it is the most dangerous and subtle enemy of mankind. This we will hear on Sunday also. Prahlad Maharaj was explaining this point to demon boys. It will never finish this desire. How much you get, it will never be satiated. Or like if you scratch, like mosquito bites you and you will scratch, that will not end. That itching will not end, only temporary relief, but it will aggravate that itching. So like that, kama is like this. It cannot satisfy. That is why also we'll hear on Sunday, Prahlad Maharaj said to demon boys. It is very important point, but we are not thinking about it. Demon boys, they said, how we are demon boys? How we will worship Supreme Lord? He is very big. We are small. We are nothing. How we will satisfy him? Then Prahlad Maharaj said, it is not difficult to satisfy Supreme Lord because he is nearest and dearest. He does not need any this worldly qualification or anything. Only your sincere desire to serve him, you will satisfy. Then Prahlad said, we are not thinking about this point. It is very difficult for parents to satisfy children. It is very difficult for children to satisfy parents. It is very difficult for wife to satisfy husband, for husband to satisfy wife, for friend to satisfy. Very difficult. Actually, it is impossible. Impossible. Because those material desires can never be fulfilled. So how much you serve? And at the same time, you may fully devote yourself to that fulfilling desires of others, material desires. At the same time, you cannot give up your own desire also, because you are a conditioned soul. So these two both factors can never make any worldly relation fulfilling fully or without trouble and no suffering. It is impossible. By any means, it is impossible. It is foredoomed to failure in satisfying yourself and also another person. It is impossible. But it is very easy to satisfy Krishna, and when you satisfy him, you get satisfied automatically, and you can satisfy others also. So these worldly relations where there is karma on both sides can never work out. Impossible. It's totally impossible. You cannot get what you want because it is Maya. You cannot quench your thirst in the illusory water of phantasmagoria. Impossible. So right about turn, we have to, Prahlad Maharaj said, you start doing bhajan. You should satisfy Supreme Lord. That will give us greatest happiness. These attachments and all these things, that will not give us happiness. And before you get entangled into that, you should start bhajan. Don't get entangled in that. Prahlad Maharaj is fully wise, fully perfect soul. So we have to take his teaching and practice. Tomorrow we will hear. Tomorrow is Adivas, and then Sunday in Rishinga Chaturdashi.